So I've been self-publishing now on Amazon for a few years, and every month I do these income report videos. Let's take a look at how much money I made in March. So if we come on over to my Amazon KDP reports dashboard, you can see here the lifetime orders for my account. So I started back at the end of 2029, beginning of 2020, but I published fiction writing for 2.5 years. And it wasn't until the end of 2022 that I actually moved to low and medium content. And that's when my orders started to increase. So I've been doing what I'm doing now for around 2.5 years. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of context when it comes to this income report video. Let's get into my results for March. So first of all, I like to set myself monthly goals. This is one way that I keep motivated for the month. It helps me reduce my procrastination levels and it keeps me locked in on my long-term targets. So my goals for the month were just to publish 3 books. I wanted to hit 1,500 book orders, which would hopefully allow me to get $2,500 in monthly profit. Now, I did manage to publish 3 books. I also hit the 1,500 book orders. However, I did not manage to hit the monthly profit target, and we'll come on to why in a bit. But just to show you what I got up to for the month, I published 3 books on Amazon. As I've mentioned a few times now, I'm focusing so much more on higher quality books. The aim with these is to launch them effectively and get long-term sales for years, rather than pumping out books and trying to get those initial sales. So I created 1 high quality puzzle book for adults, and I've also started to create some foreign language versions of some of my already existing books. So I've adapted a colouring and an activity book and published it in the German marketplace in March. Here on YouTube, I made 7 videos and got almost 60,000 views. Thank you as always for supporting the channel. And over on Etsy, I didn't do anything in March because I've been focusing on Amazon and YouTube. I also had a little holiday to Center Parcs, which was a ton of fun. But on to what you want to know, which is how many books did I sell in March? I sold 1,733 books. And as you can see there, I'm now up to 156 books in total. Some of those are my fiction writing, some of them are low content journals and notebooks which do not sell at all. But I'm maybe up to around 80 titles now, which continue to sell month on month. The results across the month was pretty steady, as you can see there, and I'm getting orders every day. And one thing that I highly advise you to do as well is take a step back and look at your growth over time. This graph here shows my results since I started moving to the medium content approach. And so from September 2022 to March 2025, you can see that overall, month by month, my orders are going in the right direction. I've removed November and December because they're outliers due to that Q4 boost. That allows you to see the actual month-on-month growth. And so sometimes it can be a bit disheartening if, say, one month you're very similar or even down on the month before. But if you take a little step back and zoom out, I think you'll see the actual growth. So for example, if I was comparing to February or January this year, the orders are very similar. But if I compare back to March 2024, I've got over 500 more orders than last year. And if I compare back to 2023, I've got over 1,500 more orders than I did in March 2023. So hopefully that's going to keep on increasing year on year. Looking at where I sell my books, the majority come from the United States and the United Kingdom as always. I'm getting some orders in Canada, which is great. But as mentioned, I've started launching some books in Germany and I've had 65 sales in March in the German marketplace. That's absolutely brilliant. I normally get maybe 6 or 7, so that's a great start so far. Now, what does that look like in terms of royalties? So on Amazon KDP, I earned $3,807. For my Brits, that's £2,941. Now you might be asking yourself, how did I not hit my profit target when my royalties were nice and high? I'll come on to that in a minute. But as with the orders, the royalties every day was pretty steady. There's a few nice little peaks maybe when my ads were performing better than other days, but generally it's pretty consistent. And unlike some people out there, I'm super transparent with all of my results. I'll share with you my ad spend, my expenses, and hopefully that will give a really honest and realistic look at Amazon KDP. So in terms of my ads in March, I spent $1,449. That's a huge increase from last month, and I'll come on to the reasons why in a little bit. But in terms of the orders, I got almost 600 orders at a 30 cent cost per click, which is pretty good. And even though my ACOS has increased a little bit, it's still under 25%. I think the majority of my books, the break-even ACOS is maybe around 20%. So that ACOS there across the month might not be directly profitable on all of my books, but it's still pretty good. Because the more sales I make with ads, hopefully I'm going to make more organic sales as well. So whilst I'd like to bring that ACOS down even more, it's pretty good at being under 25%. Breaking that down by marketplace, feel free to pause this at the end if you want to take a more in-depth view at the numbers. But in the USA, I spent $552, in the UK, $471, Canada, $116, Australia, $21, and then for the first time in Germany, I spent €179. And then in terms of my ACOS, you can see there, the US and the UK are pretty consistent. They tend to be between 20 and 30%. Canada is really nice and low. Australia is decent at under 20%. And then Germany is what's skewing it a little bit higher, because my ACOS there was 37.1%. And I've had a few of you ask me to go more in depth into my ad spend. So I'm going to take you through my results, and then I'm going to show you a few examples. So for my ad spend in March, I got 4,784 clicks, spent almost $1,500, got almost 600 orders at a click per order of 8.2. Now that's increased a little bit on last month, but generally I think as long as you're getting, say, one order in 10 clicks, you're not doing too badly. If you're doing better than that, then it's likely that your book is very high quality or you've found a very good niche to publish in. My average cost per click for the month was 30 cents, which meant my estimated cost per sale was $2.48. That number's really useful to know, because when you come to your pricing page and it tells you your estimated royalty, I know that I want to be getting around $2.50 as a royalty for my books. Because if it's taking me an estimated $2.48 to get a sale through my ads, if my royalty is $2.50, then I'm going to be making a profit on my ads. Now, I know it's never going to be quite that black and white, but it is just a really useful number to know. Now, I did start launching my ads in Germany in March, and I spent almost €180 and got 50 orders. So that's a decent start. For 340 clicks to get 50 orders, that's maybe one order in 7.5 clicks, 8 clicks, so that's pretty good. But the ACOS was a little bit higher. And that's maybe because I was bidding a little bit too high, maybe being a little bit too aggressive with some keyword ads, and I'm going to show you an example of that on the next slide. But looking at the orders and the spend here on this graph, you can see that I started quite low at the beginning of the month, and then with a couple of new book releases and also increasing the spend, that's increased towards the end of the month. And annoyingly, on the 31st of March, I spent almost €25 for one order. That was for the launch of a new colouring book, and I'm going to break that down now. So this one colouring book keyword ad spent almost €20 in a day. And as you can see there at the top, that colouring book's for adults. The cost per click was getting towards €1 per click. And so from 15 clicks, I only got one order. So I was bidding a little bit too high there, and it was also too broad a search term to be trying to rank for. I'd probably have to get hundreds of sales through that search term in order to rank for that keyword. Now, because it was German marketplace and I've not really ran ads there before, I wanted to test it. And it's a good thing that I only left that running for one day, because this ad's already spent €20. So I've dialed that bid right back down towards the suggested bid. And what I'll do on this keyword ad is try and focus more on some longer tail keyword strings rather than that Malbuck für Irrwischen. Apologies for my German, I hope that was somewhat right. So now I've covered my ads. My income for the month was $3,807. Ad spend, $1,449. My expenses were $70, which is my text-to-image AI software, plus my Adobe subscription, which means my take-home profit for the month was $2,358. That's approximately £1,824. So I was very close to hitting that $2,500 profit target. And I do think that if my German ads performed better, I would have hit that target. But Amazon KDP is all about testing and learning. It's all about focusing on the long-term growth. And I do think that if you're not testing things, if you're not trialing new areas, new niches, new keywords, that you're going to limit your growth potential. So I'm hoping that whilst my German ads aren't directly profitable at the moment, that I'm going to be tapping into that marketplace, and in the long term, I'm going to get more sales. Will it happen? You'll have to stay tuned to find out. In these videos, I also like to break down my insights. So hopefully these are going to be useful for you and your Amazon KDP journey. As mentioned, so far, in Germany, my ad spend's quite high and my cost per click is quite high. I'm going to bring that down over the next month and hopefully in April, I'll have better results to share. On top of that, I also want to see if those orders through Amazon ads result in any organic sales in the German marketplace. That tends to be how it works in the USA and the UK, but who knows in Germany? It might work like that, it might not, but I'll let you know in my April income report video. As mentioned, my ad spend massively increased in March. That was in part due to my ad spend in Germany, but I also released 2 new books that I put a good amount of budget behind, which I'll come on to in the next slide. However, despite all of that, my orders have still gone up and my profit's still healthy. That's because I've got a good base of books now on Amazon, and even though my ad spend might go up and down, the hope is as I keep adding new books, the orders over time keep on rising consistently. And just touching on ads again, I launched a puzzle book for adults, and that and a couple of other books that I've been pushing recently had very high keyword bids needed in order to serve. And that means that your ACOS is generally going to be higher on those books. So this is my most recent puzzle book for adults. I'm incredibly happy with the book. I think it's got a fantastic front cover. And in my opinion, it's definitely disruptive enough to succeed on Amazon. However, looking at this launch, you wouldn't think so. From 95 clicks, I've only got 6 orders, which is well below my average, and the ACOS is 166%. But the reason why for this ad is I was targeting puzzle books for adults on a broad match type. You can see there that the cost per click for this was over $1 per click, and from 48 clicks, I only got 2 orders. Now, if you're quite new to Amazon ads, you might be seeing a lot of these type of ad results. I think that puzzle book for adults, especially on the broad match type, is a bit too scattergun and a bit too broad for this book. How that broad match type works as well is it will target loads of different keyword strings that are similar to that keyword. So it's targeted things like puzzle books for adults, Sudoku, puzzle books for adults, crosswords, puzzle books for adults, whatever it may be. And so I want to be ranking for those search terms, and with that broad match type, it's going to be pretty much impossible to rank for 1 or 2 keywords just because it's so scattergun. And you can see there underneath that puzzle book for adults on the phrase match type, the clicks to order ratio is much better, but again, as mentioned, it's probably too broad a search term. So instead of giving up on this book, I'm going to niche down on those keywords and try and target some longer tail keyword strings in hope to rank organically for those. So like every month, I like to wrap it up and also share my learnings for the month. And one thing that's absolutely amazing around Amazon KDP is it doesn't matter how many books you've published, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it for, you're always going to learn new things. And one thing I'm going to start focusing on even more is keeping my spend down on those broader search terms. I want to be focusing so much more on the exact and phrase match types and on slightly longer tail keyword strings. However, say if you've got $100, $200 for your ad budget for your book launch, if your book's not selling well, it might be time to give up on it. You saw with that previous slide that is an unsuccessful launch, but let's say I try that for a month and it doesn't work. It's probably a good idea to give up on that book completely and focus on creating a new book. But if you've created a book that you absolutely love and for some reason it's not selling in the English marketplace, you could test translating it to German, Spanish, Italian, French, and seeing if it works better in those marketplaces. The competition might be less out there, there might even be more demand for certain types of books, and that way you're not completely wasting that book that you've created. So that's something that I'm starting to look at moving forward. Setting my goals for April, I want to publish 4 high quality books. If I only hit 3, that's okay, but 4 would be ideal. I want to hit 1,700 book orders, which would be similar to this month, but I definitely want to try and hit that $2,500 in profit. And that's it for my March income report video. How did you guys get on? Drop a comment down below and let us all know. So another month completed of self-publishing on Amazon KDP. The goal to building my self-publishing empire is ongoing. We're not quite there yet, but hopefully this video has given you some insights and inspiration in your publishing journey. If there's anything else you'd like to know in these videos moving forward, let me know down in the comments. Otherwise, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.